Afternoon, everybody. Okay, so now we're getting, we are going to go ahead and get back into getting some notes done and that kind of stuff. So, factoring quadratics. Couple different methods. First thing you need to know is you need to know what quadratic form is. Okay? Quadratic form is ax squared plus bx plus c. You also need to know that one of the methods then is called just finding a common factor. Okay? So in this problem, the first thing I want to do is, I want to see, do they have a common factor? I know 3 is a factor of each one of these. So I can pull out a 3, which is going to give me 9m squared. 51 divided by 3 is going to be 17m plus 36 divided by 3 is going to be 12. Okay? Now there are no more common factors. 9m squared minus 17m plus 12. There is no more common factors here. So this factor would then go down into my answer, which would make things a little bit easier for me. Okay? So now we're going to learn how to factor a trinomial. Okay? So the common factor is common because it's a good factoring technique, because if I take something like this and I ask you to factor it, well, I'm going to pull out an a, which is going to give me 2a plus 1 as my answer. Okay? So now we're going to go ahead and let's look at a couple other techniques. Quadratic form again, ax squared plus bx plus c. The first one is the x box. The x box is a times c. This is b. And then you're going to put your factors in here. So if I look at this problem here, the very first thing I got to check is, are there any common factors? And when I look right now, there are not. All the common factors, or there are no common factors here. Okay? So because that's true, I'm going to do a times c. A is 3, c is 5, which is 15. B is negative 8. So now I'm looking for factors of 15. Then when I add them together, I get negative 8. Well, my factors can be positive and negative, okay? So the factors of 15 are 1 and 15, 2 to the 1 to 15, and then 3 and 5. If 3 and 5 are both negative, then I can add them together to get negative 8. So this now is going to give me 3x squared, and I'm going to use these factors and I'm going to rewrite negative 8x. So that's minus 3x minus 5x plus 5. Now I'm going to do what's called factor by grouping. I'm going to take these first two and I'm going to factor out a common factor, which is going to be 3x. This is going to leave me with x minus 1. Here, I want to pull out another common factor here with this group, but when I pull it out, I want to have x minus 1 left, so I'm going to pull out a negative 5, which is going to leave me with x minus 1 left. Okay? This then will leave my answer as x minus 1 times 3x minus 5. Okay? So this is what we call the x box method, and there's my answer. Star method, similar but not the same. This is a times c, this is b. You're going to put a here and here. So a times c is 15, a is 3, b is negative 8. My factors are negative 3 and negative 5. Now I'm going to look at this as a fraction. 3 over negative 3. It has to stay as a fraction, but I want to simplify it. Well, I know that 3 divided by negative 3 is going to be 1, so I'm going to put 1 over negative 1, because it still has to stay a fraction, and the negative has to stay where it is. Once I get this, I add my variable, 1x minus 1. So that's one of my factors, x minus 1. The second factor then is you have 3 over 5. That can't be simplified, so it becomes 3x minus 5. Okay? And that is how you use the star method. So when we get to example 1, I'm telling you to factor. So when I look at this, first thing I always want to check for is there a common factor? And there is. There's an a. When I pull out an a, I'm left with 1a here minus 10. And that's my answer. Okay? Now I get to example 5, or excuse me, example 2. Alright? With example 2, no common factors. So I'm going to use, I prefer to use star method. Okay? This is 5 and 5. 5 times 24, 5 and 4 is 20. Carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 120. Right? 24 times 5, this is 20. 5 times 2 is 10, 11, 12. 120. This is negative 26. So now I'm looking for factors of 120. 1 and 120. 2 and 60. 3 and 40. 4 and 30. And remember, if this is positive, that means my factors are either both positive or they're both negative. And this should be negative because it's 5 times negative 24. Okay? So since this is negative, then the only way I can multiply is to get a negative times a positive or a positive times a negative. Which means one of mine is going to be positive, one of them will be negative. So I can take this here, and I can take negative 30 and positive 4. Because when I add those together, I get negative 26. 5 over 4 as a fraction can't be simplified. So that means one of my factors is 5r minus 4, plus 4. 5 over 30. This is 1, and 30 would be negative 6. So that means my other factor then would be r minus 6. And here's my answer. Okay? Um, 3b squared minus 5e minus 12. Same idea. 3 times 12 is negative 12, so that's going to be negative 36. This is negative 5. I'm going to put a 3 here and a 3 here. Factors of negative 36. You got 1 and 36. You have 2 and 18. 3 and 12. 4 and 9. Well, I know this is negative, which means 1 is going to be negative and 1 is going to be positive all the way down. So I can use these to get my factors. Negative 9 and positive 4. 3 over 4 is a fraction, can't be simplified. So I have 3b plus 4. 3 over 9, however, can be. It's 1 over negative 3. So that means it's going to be v minus 3. Okay? And there's my answer. If you guys have any questions, please write them down and be prepared to ask tomorrow when you come into class. Have a great night.